So welcome to Mental Health Monday, April 27th. Our topic today is the Access Freedom to Work program. This is a program that allows Arizonans with disabilities, anyone that's age 16 to 64, to work, maintain savings, and keep their low-cost Medicaid coverage. We have presenting today Suzanne Legander. And let's see, Suzanne, there you are if you want to raise your hand.
Hi there.
Suzanne has worked in the healthcare system for 40 years. She worked in case management, training, site administration, and as an integrated care CEO of a peer-run agency for the final 17 years prior to her retirement. She continues to provide advocacy work while on the board of directors for the Arizona Peer and Family Coalition. We also have presenting with us today Daryl Rumbaugh. Daryl is living proof that recovery is possible. After receiving a serious mental illness diagnosis, she found hope and a new life through peer support. Daryl has been serving as vice president, member liaison of the STAR Board of Directors for 10 years, and through the Freedom to Work program. She works part-time facilitating art and helping events without losing her Medicaid benefits that cover her various medical needs. Re-entering employment and successfully increasing her work hours has helped Daryl achieve more personal growth and financial opportunities. She loves to read, cook, and paint, or just relax with her cats in her spare time. So, Daryl or Suzanne, would either of you like to add anything about yourselves before we start with the presentation?
I don't. Good.
Okay, then I will turn it over to Suzanne.
Hello. Welcome to the Freedom to Work presentation. This has been available in Arizona since 2002. However, it is the most kept secret that it seems there is for wonderful benefit that can help so many people. So I'm glad that we're sharing this today. And I'll answer questions as they come up, unless we start running out of time, and then we'll wait till the end to continue with further ones. So welcome to Daryl Rumbaugh as well, and she will be talking about the experience actually on the side of the recipient that is eligible for freedom to work and how that process went for her and the benefits of it. Okay, so um, let's see. I am trying to move my screen. There we go. All right, so the agenda we're going to be covering is the differences between ticket to work and freedom to work. Those are often confused. The history in Arizona of freedom to work. Daryl will share her personal experience on freedom to work. We're going to then go over key points to remember when applying and what the requirements are for ongoing coverage. I'm going to show you an example of an application that I went online and I completed just to put some numbers in to show how much how beneficial it is for being able to stay on access or get onto access, even when you're married and your spouse has a good income. And then points to remember throughout the process, and then additional questions. So that is kind of what we will be covering. So the first thing is, what is the difference between ticket to work versus freedom to work? And so they both came from the same federal law from 1999 and is part of the act, but provide two very different types of benefits for people that are receiving Social Security disability income. I'm going to often refer to it by the acronym SSDI, but I will try every once in a while to say both, just so it is not confusing for individuals. You can sign up for just one of the things, or you could actually sign up for both. It's up to you. So the ticket to work is the vocational rehab side of things. There is a ticket where the state determines which providers can be a employment network. And so it's only for employ and what that does is it allows the person to get job coaching, any kinds of additional aids the person may need to get to and from work or remote work. So a computer for their home, if that is a on in the work from home kind of job, or um, transportation or any kind of adaptation that might be needed, because this is both for the DDD system as well as the behavioral health system, as well as just a person who had a really misfortune and had a horrible car accident that has disabled them and they're no longer able to work, and anything in between. It could be a severe illness that occurred that has disabled the person. So any of those types of things. So what they do is it's training ahead of time, career counseling. It's helping them to get the skills necessary. It could help pay for schooling for the person or a certification for the person. That's all ticket to work, and helping with job placement and then ongoing supports to keep their employment for coaching and guidance along the way. So freedom to work is,
Suzanne,
yes,
Lori here. Before you move away from ticket to work,
yes.
um, if somebody is with the ticket to work, there is funding, as you said, for some schooling and different things that DES provides for them. I've seen examples where if they owned a car, they're not going to get a car purchased for them, but they can get tires for that car if it's something, or clothing to get to that
Yeah,
will help
for
with that job.
interviews and clothing. Yep. Yes, Ticket to Work is a incredible thing. Every person that's on Social Security disability income automatically qualifies for Ticket to Work, but they have to actually request the ticket, and it's not a paper ticket, it's electronic approval, where then they connect you with a employment network for the state or a state vocational rehabilitation agency. So,
And I've eyeglasses and dentures also, it's kind of coming back to me. So
yeah,
it's
yeah.
really, really fantastic.
It's
Thank
a
you.
great array of services. So those are all the services you can get through the Ticket to Work program. Now, one thing I'm not aware of is if you are already working, if you can then sign up for Ticket to Work, because most of it is pre-employment and getting you onto the job. But that's not an area that I'm super knowledgeable on, but maybe Lori or somebody else is more knowledgeable on after the fact. If you can, after employment, you can join Ticket to Work.
I don't have the answer to that. I wonder if anybody attending has the answer to that. Nope. Okay, something to find
Okay.
out.
So it's just one thing I just thought of that I'm like, actually, I don't know after the fact, because a lot of this would still be helpful to a person after they get employment, but I just don't know
Yeah.
that.
I think they can reopen their case.
Okay.
If the case
Yes,
does
and
get
Ticket
closed.
to Work, I think, is limited for how many years you could have your ticket open at a time.
Mhm. Okay.
Okay, so the other thing is freedom to work. And so Ticket to Work, freedom to work, they sound similar, but they're very different services. Freedom to work is anyone who's on SSDI. They are in the age range between 16 and 64. The day you turn 65, you are no longer eligible for the Freedom to Work program, but up to your 65th birthday, up to that day before your birthday, you're eligible for it. So, what it does is, first of all, you have to have a job before you can apply for it. So, you can't even apply until you have that job offer in hand or you have your work hours have already started. And you have to not be eligible for any other type of access program. So, there are a ton of different eligibilities for access, which is the state Medicaid program. So every state gets Medicaid money from the federal government, and then they call it whatever they want to at their state, and ours is access. Arizona Healthcare Cost Containment System. So freedom to work, if you are receiving SSDI, even if it's just $1 of Social Security disability and the rest is SSI, you can still qualify for freedom to work, though you're eligible for other programs because of such low income, most likely. But that is an option if you're not eligible for any other service. Now, this is strictly giving you access coverage, so all of the health benefits of access. Some people have heard of Title 19 and non-Title 19. We'll get into that a little bit farther, but the Title 19 means that you are available for the entire array of services. Some people with a serious mental illness may be non-Title 19. They still have an access card and they're covered for their behavioral health services, but they're not covered for cancer surgery or some other types of primary care services. So I'll go into that in a little bit more detail down the road with the slides. All right, so Freedom to Work is a federal and state program. It is due to the federal guidelines that I put the federal law down below, which is Federal Law Public, which is 106-170. It was created by the federal government. So that was and two big signers on it was Senator John McCain and John Kyle. Those two really pushed hard to get the federal Senate and to sign on and to authorize this. So it was started in December of 1999, and it was called the Ticket to Work and Work Incentive Improvement Act of 1999. So with Freedom to Work, it allows a person that already has a job or a job offer that is over the income limit for other access programs. So there are a lot of different access programs on how you get qualified. So one of them is the SSI, another is SSIMA. The Medicaid expansion up to 133% of the federal poverty level. There's the dual eligibles, which is a person that's on access and then qualifies for Medicare, but it's only up to 120% of the federal poverty line. And this, before I retired, I had run a group with Access and a lot of other state officials and providers, which was the whole in access, because as you see there, if a person earns 121% of the federal poverty line in their income, they do not qualify for dual eligible if they're on Medicare. They get dropped, even though we have expanded Medicaid up to 133%. There is a stipulation that if you're on Medicare also, and you can't refuse it, 2 years after you're on Social Security disability, you automatically get on Medicare and you have to do it. So then what happens is those individuals, all of a sudden they apply for the Medicaid expansion because they earn under 133%, and they get denied saying you're not eligible. So those individuals, the only way that they could stay on access is due to the Freedom to Work program. And then you can stay on access and have Medicare even though you earn more than 120%. So you can also go to Access and search Medicaid eligibility, and it's a 2-pager that lists all the programs and what the eligibility requirements are. Okay, so is there any questions before I move on?
Not seeing any questions,
Okay,
Suzanne.
so moving on. So the Freedom to Work program is a program, again, that I've already talked about. That as soon as that started at the end of 1999, our legislature under Governor Hull in 2001 applied for it for a waiver to allow Arizona to use the Freedom to Work program. So not every state has it, but they have the ability to get it with the waiver approval. And so they ended up receiving the waiver approval, and we had already put everything in place. Now, back when it was the the business journal instead of the Arizona Business Journal, there was a news article that talks about the program, and it's there, and it's a phone number on how to get into it, which is through Access at that time. So it started as of January 1st of 2003, where applications were active and people could get on as long as they have a Social Security disability determination. Okay, so now I'm going to pause my talking and have Daryl speak and tell her experience because she has been on Freedom to Work. So, Daryl, if you can unmute yourself and then go ahead and share your experience over the next 5 minutes, that would be wonderful.
Hey, hi everybody. This is not my regular thing to do, so excuse me for that. Um, in 2015, I joined Stand Together and Recover, a peer-run day program, and that was one of the best decisions I ever made. And that really made a huge difference in my life, especially the lunches, because as someone on SSDI, I all I got was my Medicaid for my mental health and my check. So trying to pay for housing and food and insurance was really difficult. And we at Star, they posted a job for FTW position. So I was afraid to do it initially, but it was suggested I give it a try. So I did apply and I got the job. And I started. Now I had a lot of fears about entering the job force again. The number one thing, of course, was I was really concerned about losing my benefits. And but I started out on making working only 5 hours a week, and that, along with my lack of confidence from being out of the workforce for 10 years, I previously been a property manager and managed large apartment communities or supervised multiple units. But after getting my SMI diagnosis, I felt like I was a different person, and so it was really hard to even put myself out there at all. But anyway, I started working 5 hours a week, and you wouldn't think it at the time that was only like $50 a week, but just the difference of having that extra check coming in, because before, I'd usually run out of money, all money, about 2 weeks before my next check came in. And some months on the SSDI program, when I got paid, I'd go 5 weeks without a check. So it was really difficult. And just having that extra money really gave me hope again. You can imagine how depressing it could be not having enough money for food and just regular basic needs. So that really made a difference for me. Um, since I started, I've had a lot of growth in employment. My job was just basically janitorial, and I'll be honest with you. At first, I was kind of embarrassed about doing that because I was cleaning bathrooms and things, and I wasn't sure what people would think of me. But it turned out I really liked the more physical work. It really helped me get out of my head and burn off some of my trauma. And so I started doing more. And then another position, another part-time position came up available, doing setups for our events at Star. And even though it was involved some lifting, and I didn't think I could do it, I decided to try it out. And again, I just loved it, and the physical activity was good for me. And then I started. They invited me to start working the events, and so I started doing that. And now, and I'm still doing that, and I still work at Star Central. I serve lunch, and I help facilitate our art groups. And I do janitorial work around the center, and I love it because it gives me an opportunity to learn a lot of different things about the running a peer center, and without a lot of the paperwork. So and then having access helped me so much as far as um, personally, with the Medicare, there's copays. Every time you go to the doctor, you have a copay for just about everything. It was hard for me to even want to go to the doctor because, again, it's trying to live on under $2,000 a month, trying to pay rent and food. Um, the smallest mistake could mean that I wouldn't have money for rent the next month. And in fact, prior to my job, I experienced 2 evictions because of that type of thing. So I never want to be homeless again and experience another eviction. So that that really helps. Um, and also, I was able to being on SSDI and SMI, they don't pay for a lot of things that really help you improve your mental health, such as counseling and transportation to places that may help you heal. With the access, I got the transportation. And I was able to get some much needed counseling that I was unable to access without it or afford. So that was really wonderful. Um, and also I was able to have a hernia surgery. I didn't have to pay anything, different things like that. It was just really nice to be able to have full access. I'm 65 now, though, so as soon as I turned 65, I did lose that, and now I'm just on plain Medicare. So it really it's different.
Thank you. But you're still working.
I'm still working. Yeah, I don't think I'm actually considered an FTW anymore, but they
Right.
like me enough. I've kept my job and looking to do more. But yeah, I did lose my access when I turned 65.
Daryl, I have a question. When you went to apply for Freedom to Work, who did you go to help you through that process?
Well, yeah, the staff at Star helped me with that.
Okay. And STAR, I think, for anyone who may not know, is a peer and family run organization based in Phoenix. The other question I have for you is you mentioned some really positive things about what going back to work did for you. Obviously, with the finances and not running out of money before the end of the month, being able to do things. But you said it helped you burn off your trauma. The physical activity helped you burn off your trauma.
Yeah, yeah,
Um,
which is
what?
huge. I never thought I'd actually heal. I'm not going to really go into the whole thing, but I never really thought I'd get to a point that I'd like feel like, I mean, I'm not fully healed, but I'm really well on my way. And I just never thought it would happen for me. Yeah, I've done a lot of work, and that was my main focus was not really to go back to work and start a new career. Although, that's something I'll be 67 this year. So I'll be able to actually return to work full time, I think, when I'm 67 and 10 months. I don't know. I also have some physical issues that I'm dealing with. So I don't know whether I'll really be able to return to work any more than part time. But I
Right.
know it's something I'm considering,
Well, self-care is always the priority, but it sounds like your self-image has, you've gained so much fulfillment through being employed.
Oh my gosh, and again, I mostly did administrative management type of work, doing property management. Yeah, I had to clean a few apartments along the way, but I mostly wasn't doing like cleaning and that type of stuff. I know it seems maybe silly, but for someone my age to like go back and do like janitorial type of stuff. But you know, with it, I developed a grit that I didn't know I had. And like physical strength about myself. So as a woman, navigating the world, I think that's really important. And like no one's going to mess with me. I mean, I'm 5 foot, I weigh 100 pounds, but no one's going to mess with me now, really.
You are standing strong. We do have a question, Pat. Go ahead, Pat. Unmute and ask whatever your question is. Pat, are you able to unmute? Because you have your hand up.
Can you hear me now?
Now we can hear you. Yes, go ahead.
Oh, hi, Pat. I think I
Hi,
know
Daryl.
you. Hi.
It's good to hear you and see you again after 2 years.
Good to. I don't see you, but it's good to hear your voice, Pat. How are you?
I'm really good. Thank you very much. And
Good.
I hope to come and visit someday at Star. But what I really wanted to tell you, I don't have a question, is you did an excellent job in presenting. And thank you so much for giving us your story.
Oh, you're welcome, and thank you so much for your vote of confidence. I know this is like kind of out of my comfort zone, like way out of it. So, thank you. I really appreciate that.
You're welcome. Take care until I see you.
You too. I hope to see you soon, Pat.
Okay, bye-bye.
Bye.
Does anybody else have any comment or question for Daryl? Daryl, you're absolutely inspiring. Thank you.
I hope so. Thank you.
Thank you so much, Daryl.
Oh, wait, we do have a hand up. Jasmine, go ahead.
Hi, yes, good morning, Daryl. Thank
Good
you for
morning,
sharing your
Jasmine.
story. I guess my question was just you said that you just had a little fears being out of the workforce for so long, and how did you overcome those fears of you getting back into the workplace and having to meet those expectations?
Well, and you're right about that. It was very hard because I honestly I thought, my goodness, if I fell with this. But I just put it all in perspective, and I thought, I'm going to try this. It's something new that I haven't done anymore, and I'm just going to try it. And if I fail, at least I know I've tried. And fortunately, I was working and still work at Stand Together and Recover Star, and so they're a very disability friendly place. So I knew that I would get the kind of support I needed if I did have problems. So that was real helpful too.
Thank you for answering my question. I feel I agree with that. I think the supports around us are very helpful, and especially when we have our fears, it's always nice to be able to lean on people you can trust.
Absolutely. The whole peer support community has been, like I said, it's been the best decision I ever made since I became disabled. We don't have to go it alone, and I mean, I wouldn't be here without the support I got from like Suzanne and Star, Stand Together and Recover. I mean, seriously, they saved my life and gave me hope that, like, just to continue and reason to go on. I can't tell you. I mean, I'll cry, but I mean, really,
Don't make me cry.
It's been so huge. It's been like huge for me. I never thought I'd be at a place like where I'm at again. I thought I'd be in the gutter, and I'm not. I'm so far from there.
All right. Well, thank you. Thank you so much.
You're
and
welcome.
Thank you for the questions.
Yeah, thank you.
We'll turn it back to Suzanne.
Thank you. Thank you, Daryl.
You're welcome.
I know how inspiring she is to me, and I just was thrilled that she volunteered to share her story with us today. So thank you for that. Just as a side note, because the Freedom to Work department is so tiny, so I discovered it back in the beginning of 2009. And what had happened then, for those of you that have been around in the healthcare system for all those years, we had the housing crisis, the national housing crisis. And as a result, there was a lot of homes that were getting foreclosed on, and a lot of layoffs were occurring, and the tax revenue in Arizona was depleting significantly. And so what the governor and legislature ended up doing is they cut all the services except for medications and psychiatry to individuals that were over 100% of the federal poverty line. And so they lost case management, counseling, nursing, all of those services, peer support. And I saw how devastating that was to our non-Title 19 population. And non-Title 19 means that 100% of that money gets paid for by Arizona taxpayers. They're not eligible for Medicaid by the federal system. So what I ended up doing was I started researching, and I spent weeks online looking at every rule, everything, to find some way to make it possible for people to get onto a program to qualify to continue these critical services that were helping to keep a lot of people alive. And so I came across the Freedom to Work program, and there were so many little aspects to it. First of all, I had to verify it was still existed. And when I did, there were 41 people in the entire state of Arizona on Freedom to Work, and they had 1.5 full-time positions through Access for this department. And it wasn't advertised anywhere. It was so limited, but it existed. And so I started doing presentations on it, and I started to try to get people to go into it. And what we did at STAR was we hired individuals that were non-Title 19, and we called it the Freedom to Work program, but that was just what we called it, as the FTW program, as Daryl said. And what we were able to do is, a lot of people, you'd go, well, let's have you start at 20 hours a week. And it was just way overwhelming for the amount of years some of the people had not been employed. They didn't feel it was possible. And so we figured out 5 hours a week was a appropriate amount of hours to start a person, to give them the confidence and the experience to do the work. And we paid the minimum wage. But with how it's done, what they do is they have so many times with insurance companies, with legislature, they figure out ways to make it sound really good and eliminate almost everyone from being eligible for the program. So and same with health insurance and things like that. So what they said was, you can only earn a certain amount of money, but you have to pay federal and state taxes. And anyone that's earning minimum wage and working 15, 20 hours a week are going to be exempt from paying taxes. So when they go through their employer, they go, oh, you don't owe any taxes because you're exempt, you're not going to earn enough money. And then you're not eligible for the program. And so, but when you go to apply and get a job at a employer, you can ask for additional monies to be withheld from your paycheck for state or federal things. So we encourage the person, put whatever dollar amount you want in there, but force it out. Once you force it out, you do qualify through that, and it's not illegal, it's 100% legal, but just like these big corporations figure out ways with all their tax people to get every write-off possible so they end up not paying a cent in taxes, like Amazon and others, that it's totally legal because they found ways around it. And by pushing out some federal and state tax money to be withheld, makes them eligible. And that 5 hours a week gives a person the confidence to build. And so many people were able to grow from that 5 hours into 10 hours, 15. We had a couple people that ended up going back to full-time work. And they really got empowered. It also gave them a recent employment because it's really hard to get a job if you have a 5-year, even a 2-year unemployment thing, because people don't want to try you out. They're like, oh no, why couldn't this person work? So it gives an opportunity, even if it's just 5 hours a week, to now have recent employment and recent references. So that's just kind of a side note as to my thought process. Okay, so when you see Title 19, it looks like, and people sometimes try to pronounce Texas or something. It's a T for title, and then that's Roman numerals XIX, which is 19. So it's a federal funds, Title 19, and it means that the person qualifies for Medicaid under the federal government and under the state of Arizona, which in Arizona is access. So when a person is Title 19, 78 cents of every dollar gets paid for by the federal dollars coming into Arizona, and only 22 cents gets paid for by Arizona taxpayers to contribute to those service dollars. So it's a huge savings to Arizona to have as many people as possible qualifying for Title 19 or Medicaid benefits because of all the federal monies coming in to help support Arizona in its array of services. So anyone that is on the Freedom to Work program, it's switching, because if you are a person with a serious mental illness, you qualify for benefits for your case manager, your doctor, your nurse. You can get some housing benefits. You can also get all of your psychiatric medications paid for, but you don't get all of your physical health paid for unless you require shots or blood draws as a result of the medications for your psychiatric illness to qualify. So that's non-Title 19. And what happens is it's 100% that the Arizona has to pay for all of those services. So what they ended up doing was they eliminated all those services except because the SMI population had a legislative requirement in a lawsuit that guaranteed their protection of their psychiatric medications and their psychiatrists, but they lost their case manager and everything. So that is a thing just to remember as we are moving into this coming year, which the fiscal year starts July, just a little over a month and a half away, or a month and a couple days away, which will be the next tax year. And already, because of the big, beautiful bill that got passed into law, there are already a lot of reductions that will occur as of July. And our legislature is trying to figure out what things to cut because they don't have enough revenue to pay for all the things that are going on. So I'm already sensing we are potentially into another crisis coming up here in the near future. And then there's other things that as of December will kick in. And they pushed it to that effective date, which a lot of people will lose health care coverage. Because they wanted it after the election so that it didn't interfere with people deciding on how they were going to vote on the election. So those things are coming up in the big, beautiful bill effects on Arizona, and we will see how those affect the non-Title 19 adults as well as other types of services in the state over this next 12 months. So not only is it the people who get services that can have cuts if it's strictly non-Title 19 revenue from the state of Arizona, but also the more clientele you have that are eligible for services is the more people that you need employed in the system. So it significantly also can affect employment for all of the case managers, the line staff, the peer support workers, all of those types of things in the VA and actually in the healthcare system overall. So just wanted to kind of give you a heads up that that can have a rolling effect for income and employment through a lot of people in the state of Arizona. Okay, so freedom to work, some key points to remember. You have to actually be on Social Security disability income to be eligible for the program. But anyone that's on Social Security disability income is qualified for the program. And that's because you are already a legal citizen, which they don't allow you to receive Social Security benefits if you were not a legal citizen or a legal resident. So you are on Social Security disability, and because you had worked enough in your lifetime paying taxes, you're able to draw Social Security disability. And even if it's just a few dollars and the rest comes from Social Security income, which is kind of the welfare if you weren't able to work enough. And combined, the more your Social Security disability income grows, your SSI check decreases, and those combined are the dual eligibles. So if you have SSDI, you automatically qualify. Now, in the whole Department of Access, the Freedom to Work program is so tiny that I guarantee you, if you called Access and got through finally on their line, you could go through 100 employees and ask for the Freedom to Work program, and they'll go that we don't have that, or you're not eligible because you're over 133% of the federal poverty line, or your spouse's income makes you ineligible even though you're disabled. And they just don't know that the department exists. Now, just recently, a couple months ago, they moved the department back into the Department of Economic Security. So again, you show up at a DES office and you go, I want to apply for Freedom to Work. Chances are the person at the front desk or their supervisor still will not know what the Freedom to Work department is, and it's a real shame. But I have direct phone numbers that I'm going to be sharing with you so you can get into that department and get help if you have questions. So those numbers are coming in the thing. So the other thing is Freedom to Work is only for people where you can't qualify through the normal access program for all the other types of things that I shared on the prior slide. Kids Care is an access program, but it only gives children's medical coverage. It doesn't qualify automatically their parent for income. And that's Kids Care goes, I think, up to 250% of the federal poverty level. So maybe your children are in the Kids Care program, but you as the parent who is disabled is not. As long as you're not eligible, you can still qualify for Freedom to Work if you're disabled and on SSDI. The participants have to be age 16 to 64 years of age. Again, until you turn the day of your 65th birthday, you're still eligible for Freedom to Work. It's also the only program in Access and a lot of the state and federal benefits where it does not count your spouse's income at all. It does not count child support. It does not count food stamps or SNAP income. It does not count housing assistance or your SSDI. It only counts what you as the participant has been earning in income and nothing else. So all of that other income is not considered at all. And then whatever that income is, it counts only 50% of it, of that earned income. So you can earn as a potential applicant on Freedom to Work, you could earn up to $4,000 in a month yourself and still be on Freedom to Work and get access benefits. So it's really amazing. You just have to have your SSDI eligibility, that you qualified and that you're determined qualified for Social Security disability income. That doesn't mean that as you're earning more income, your SSDI check will get lower and lower. I think you can earn about $1,000 without having it touch your Social Security disability income. And then it starts decreasing. For every $3 you earn, you lose $1 of Social Security disability income.
Suzanne, it's Lori. So that's a lot of math, a lot of information. But at the end of the day, I would still be having more money in my pocket at the end.
A lot more. You will have a lot more. And that's the thing. It used to be dollar for dollar that you would lose. And you're like, wait, I pay taxes. They take benefits out that I have no control of. They pay Social Security. They all of those things. And so I end up with less money. Why am I working if I'm going to end up with less money? This thing with Social Security disability is for every $3 you earn, you only lose $1 once you get up to too high of an income, and then you start losing. So it incentivizes work. All right, so just to show you, there is a calculator in the Freedom to Work program, and this is the link for it above, and it's a hot link. So if you ask for the entire PowerPoint, you can go into the PowerPoint and click the link and get right to this thing, or you can manually enter in all of that code to get to it in your on your computer. But this is a questionnaire that you fill out that I just filled out randomly. So I said that I was born in January of 2000. I'm a US citizen. I am an Arizona resident. I'm married. I don't have any children under the age of 21 in my home. I'm disabled, that I have a SSDI disability determination. I put that I was earning $1,566 a month and that I receive $1,975 a month in my, maybe it's my Social Security because I'm retired, and I just threw numbers in there to show you that it is still possible. And my spouse, I just put $4,000 a month that my spouse earns. And again, these are just, I threw numbers in to show enough money in there to go, how is this possible that they still qualify for access? This spouse has no unearned income, and I don't receive SSI. And then I said, so what it ended up doing is there's also an expenses under that. You see the IRWE, and that is employment related work expenses. So if you need special adaptation equipment, all of that stuff gets reduced from your income, and it reduces it off of your earned income to figure it out. So you just answer the questions and it will then tell you, and then you submit, and it ends up saying, and so I got this second page that says, it appears you do qualify for the Access Freedom to Work program. I will have to pay $10 a month. Now, their Freedom to Work has a cost thing anywhere from $0 up to a maximum of $35 a month. So it's saying with all that income of my family, I only have to pay $10 a month and I have full access coverage. And it says on there, because it's small print, Access Freedom to Work, additional coverage may still be, so if you, is still worth the premium because it may cover services that Medicare and private insurance do not cover. So peer support is an example of one of those, or family support, aren't covered by Medicare or private insurance. If you decide to enroll with Access Freedom to Work and have Medicare, you should also enroll in Medicare Part D. Access Freedom to Work automatically qualifies you for Medicare Part D low income subsidy. So that means that it's $1.35 for generic meds and $3.20 for brand name medications. So you will not have to pay your Part D premium or the deductible, because Access will then cover that difference. So there's no out-of-pocket cost except for your $10 a month premium or whatever that might be. Okay, so here is just an example to show you that this really does work, and you go, how in the, this is just a godsend. So that I just wanted to show you
Hey,
is,
Suzanne.
yes.
So this is, if people want to look at this, it's DB 101. If you just Google DB 101, it's going to take you to the website. That's where Suzanne found this. And you do have to put information in to go from one page to the next. I think you can save it and come back to it. You don't, well, I'm not sure about that.
Yeah, you can't save it.
You can't say, okay, so you have to have it already. And this is something that when you mentioned employment-related work expenses, there are expenses if you have to take if you have to pay for transportation to get to a job, that's an employment expense.
Right.
What are some other examples of employment-related expense that folks might want to think about?
So if you need special glasses, you need hearing aids, you need, maybe you are hearing deaf and you need an interpreter, a sign language interpreter, you need any kind of equipment, you might need a electric wheelchair. It could be any sort of assistance. You may need someone help. Let's say you are a paraplegic or a quadriplegic, you may need a worker to help you get dressed in the morning and off to the job. That all of those types of things would be helping you to keep your employment, and it would then you would take off those costs, any of those out-of-pocket costs, as part of your earned income. And there's just so many different things. I can't even come up with all the different cost.
Thank you. Does anybody have questions for Suzanne? Because she's just provided a whole lot more information on a different level. Any
I
questions?
do.
Go
Go
ahead.
ahead, Jen.
Hi. This is so great and really incredible to learn about, but like it's been shared, it's a very unknown
Mhm.
piece of opportunity for these individuals that might qualify. And at De Novo, we probably see 70% of our patients are on access. Now, I don't know the breakdown between adults and kids, but we do have a team of 25 case managers that work directly with our access patients on resources and social determinants of health. And I really would like to get them this information. I had invited the director late last week, so I don't think anybody had a chance to get this on their schedule with such late notice. But like, is there a document, or do I just give them this website, or could you present to that team in the near future?
Thank you. I am retired, and it's so easy to just get pulled right back into working and all of those things. So I'm really trying hard to pass on the information. So I'm excited that this is recorded, and you can go to the Peer and Family Coalition website, and you will have this whole presentation recorded, and they could watch it with the PowerPoint and everything.
It's actually at the NAMI YouTube.
Oh, sorry.
channel. Yeah, we do this in partnership with NAMI Yavapai. Yeah, and Jen, this is something that your organization may want to really look into, because you could be a service provider to help people walk through once you understand the process.
Right.
Yeah, I was just trying to like consolidate, like if my, they usually don't have like an hour to give to like a video, watching a video. So I'm trying to like, can I give them a handout or some bullet points, or just kind of like get to the point so they can like take that and run with it.
So Suzanne, if Suzanne gave me permission, I would be able to send the PowerPoint to you.
Yes, and you can flip through just to the pages you want to and the PowerPoint,
Okay.
the thing. So yeah, I would be fine with that. And so yeah, I I would really love to be able to do a brain dump of information into a number of individuals that could really learn it. I can tell you that every person that I have had applied to Freedom to Work that I said, yes, you should be eligible for this program. Since 2009, I have had 100% of the people get qualified for Freedom to Work, 100%. And that is a lot of people that I've helped in the program. So I know this program often better than a number of Access and DES people know, except for the people working in the actual department. So it really does work, and it is a federal benefit as well as a state benefit. Okay, moving on. So additional questions regarding things to remember. So this qualifies you for any kind of disability as long as you are receiving Social Security disability income. However, veterans are an example of someone that do not go through Social Security when they become disabled while they're in the military. They end up getting an early retirement, and it sidesteps Social Security completely. So if you are a person who has a 100% or 80% or 70% disability through the military, and you've been discharged through the early retirement for that, what you can do is you can go in and request a disability determination process through Social Security and have the VA share all of your medical records that qualified you for the disability and your ongoing treatment, where they can review it and make the determination that, yes, you are disabled. You would then qualify for some Social Security disability income, but you would automatically qualify for Freedom to Work then and be able to do it without losing your VA retirement. And that is not earned income. So again, it does not count towards your $4,000 you can earn a month of earned income. So just wanted to throw that out there because I'm always trying to support our military and our veterans. So there is, the key thing is you have to have a job before you go online and apply for Freedom to Work. You can have that job offer, which needs to be written, and it specifically needs to state your job title, the name of your employer, your starting salary or hourly rate, the date you start work, or if you're already employed, proof that you are now working there, even if you haven't received your first check yet. And you need to make sure that they are taking taxes out for federal and state, and that you're paying Social Security and Medicare on your thing. So if it's under the counter or under the table thing, that job may not help you for this circumstance. So just make sure that they are taking out those things and that you are being pushed to if you're listed as exempt, that you force out the additional $5 or whatever in taxes for state and federal.
We have a question. What about 1099 workers, contractor?
1099, you have to be working a couple hours every week and prove that you are working. It's one area that I have not really been doing. So artists and drivers for it, I haven't been helping them very much because I just have so many people to help. And it is possible. You just have to make sure that you are really good at forcing out your Medicare and your Social Security and your federal and state taxes. And a lot of people hold off because they need the money and they fail to make those payments, and then you're not eligible. So the other thing is you can't say, well, I'll work 20 hours once a week or once in a month for 1 week. You have to be earning money every week. So I would recommend, if you're only going to do 20 hours a month, that you do 5 hours a week or 10 hours a week or so, but that you're working every paycheck, you're getting some kind of money coming in. Okay. Additional things to remember is you can apply for Freedom to Work through healthyarizonaplus.gov, just the regular place you would apply for all of the different benefits. But when it comes down to the question of employment, you make sure you say yes to that, even if you haven't started work yet, but you have your job offer. You say yes to that you are employed. That is the trigger that potentially moves you into the Freedom to Work direction so that they can review your application. When you finish and you submit your application through healthyarizonaplus.gov, you need to write down the application number, because you need to be able to speak to Access or DES or whoever and have that number so they can find it to figure out what the status is of your application. When you finally do get approved for Freedom to Work, it goes back into the first of the month of the date you submitted your application, a completed application for approval. So the Freedom to Work department's often really backed up, and it could be a number of weeks, it could be a number of months. After 3 to 4 weeks, if you have not heard anything from Freedom to Work, this is the phone number that you call. It's the 602-417-6677. And when they answer the phone, make sure that they are from the Department of Freedom to Work. Now, I called this number and it did put me through. I called during the weekend, but it was it was an automated for Freedom to Work. There weren't live people, obviously, because it was the weekend, but it appears that phone number only will work. There on number 6, it lists if you're in Maricopa County, it's that phone number. If you are anywhere else, it is this 1-800 number, and then you use option 6 to get into it. Okay. And I am really tight on time. You wanted this at 1 hour, right?
You've got plenty of time.
Okay. All right. So additional points is the Freedom to Work does have a monthly premium. It can be $0. So look at what I had submitted on my sheet. I only paid $10, even though I had a combined like $6,000 of income between what I listed there for my spouse and everything else. So I think you can earn up to about $2,000 or so before it starts charging you $1, $2. Now remember, even if it's just $1, you must pay that every month, and you have to find out how you submit that payment. And I would do it as an automatic so you don't end up losing, because if you stop paying the premium, you get canceled from the program. So you have to have it like an automatic debit card or credit card that gets paid, or pay someone in advance, give them money if they can use their credit card to make that monthly payment for you. Give them a once a year, $100 or whatever it is as your payment, and have that coming through and verify that it is being deducted. The Freedom to Work, if you do not have and I just realized there was a typo, so sorry. On number 10, it's please note, not. Please note that while your earnings increase over time, your Social Security disability check will start to decrease once you have earned more than roughly about $1,000 a month gross income. It starts to decrease again. For every $3 you earn, you lose $1 of SSDI money. However, as long as you're in the program, you don't have to worry, even if you have $0 coming to you from Social Security disability, you do not go through a redetermination for Social Security while you're in the Freedom to Work program. So you you may work full time and you're earning, $4,000 or $3,500 a month or something. You are still going to be on the Freedom to Work program until you turn 65, or you earn over the income, even if you are no longer receiving that monthly check of SSDI because you have continued to work and earn too much to qualify for those dollars. So again, I'm finished. Any other questions? I'll open it up for anyone. And Daryl, if you have anything else you thought of that you want to share, please come off of mute and share, and we'll answer any questions.
So it sounds like if I'm on disability, and I want to work, all I have to do is want to work. All I need is a desire. And through this program, I can do it. And not being, I think for a lot of folks, walking away from a career because of life changes that put them on disability and not being able to return to whatever that career was, to reinvent or re-identify ourselves. Just the fulfillment from working, being able to get up and out of the house one day a week to do a job can be so important in moving ourselves forward.
I totally agree. It is, it really can change a person's personal view of their value and worth and identity. It can employment, and you're giving back to the community in different ways as an employee. So yeah, I think it is really important and beneficial. Now, just a side note, I tend to kind of look at how we can help more and more people. I would love to see various religious institutions, other types of grants, donations, where they could have people donate to nonprofits the minimum wage thing. So maybe it's $150, $200 a month, so that nonprofit has the money to hire individuals to do various things. Because and think of how many businesses you've worked for that maybe the staff have to stop what they're working on to clean the bathroom, to empty the trash each Friday or something, to vacuum the floor around their workstation. If those employers could then hire some people that are benefiting from the Freedom to Work program, there are a lot of people out there that would be desperate to take those jobs. And it gives you your workforce back into whatever that profession is, rather than custodial work or some other type, front desk receptionist or things like that. And you could have multiple people working the job, and then you get to determine, you may find the people that are working that have become disabled, some of them have master's degrees, doctorate degrees, they have all these skill sets, they're electricians, they're all of these amazing skill sets. And they now can give back and help. And you think, well, who would want to work just 5 or 10 hours a week? That is where I would love to see this grow, is helping a person, because you'd think a donation to a church or something, you go, wait, I can donate $200 and it's going to give them all this health care and a job and make sure they don't go bankrupt as a result of medical cost. It just seems like there's a lot of ways to grow this, especially in these hard times that are going to be happening over the next couple years in Arizona and nationally.
That is the kind of thinking and creativity we need to
But I'm
move
retired.
forward. Yeah, yeah. I hadn't even thought of that. Creating jobs for people to utilize through the Freedom to Work program. I just, was thinking old school, what jobs are out there? Well,
Right,
build it and they will come. And
right.
for the folks that do have the means to donate to the nonprofits who run on a lot of volunteer power.
Yeah. Yeah, it could be really helpful. You could even have work crews that go and help seniors or disabled people maintain their lawns, do, clean up parks. I mean, there are a lot of things that could be done to clean up the community and help in different ways if people had the will to do it. So, would love to percolate some of those ideas out there.
Well, you have planted a seed and I think it's going to grow a forest.
Okay.
Would love to see that. Any other questions or comments?
Hopefully this was helpful for people.
Yeah, one of the things I want to go back to with Daryl is where you mentioned fear at the onset of this. There was intrepidation, there was fear. I think that for a lot of us, we get in our own way. And the self-talk that we have, can I do this or I cannot do this, is so important. And maybe you can share a little bit again on you did have fear, but you walked through it.
I did. I did. Well, I was desperate because not having money to survive throughout the month will make you do some. I was desperate, and I knew, just like when I started um, the the peer support, the peer center. I was afraid of that too because I'd been home alone, and um, I had and that turned out to be one of the best choices I made. So I thought, what the heck do I have to lose, and I just walked myself through it, and I still walk myself through it every day, you know. Now it's just like you can do it, and like this weekend, I mean, first, I don't have a car anymore. I had to sell my car because I couldn't afford to keep it because I was living that tight. So I haven't had a car since 2013, and it took me a long time to be able to use the Valley Metro. But this weekend, I worked. We had a weekend event. It was a sleepover, actually. I didn't stay over though. So both days, I took the light rail out to Mesa. It's a 2-hour trip out there, both ways from my house, and I did that. You know, it's amazing the things you can do when you're motivated, and you like the people you're working for and with.
Absolutely. Again, inspiring. And another thing, I think just where people get in their own way, they think they can't do it for various reasons. Um, when I started my career in behavioral health, my first job was as a voc rehab counselor at a community behavioral health center. And I remember learning that if someone came into me and said, well, I'd like to be an astronaut, I would encourage them to look at how do you become an astronaut? And my question would be, well, do you have your high school diploma or a GED? Because you're going to need that if you don't have that. And if they said no, I said, well, that's a starting place. So helping people find where they can start. And always encouraging that the dream is achievable.
Mhm.
The hope is there.
Well, and not only that, but some of us, like, who have been in the workplace before, but got out of it, we might not know what we want to do. We might not have any idea. And like with me, I mean, naturally, it seemed like peer support would have been the thing to do. But with my challenges with the internet and computer, that was just too much for me, you know. And who would think that? Who would know? Who would have thought that I would have actually enjoyed doing some janitorial work and like running events, and it's something I actually like, you know. So you actually get an opportunity to kind of look outside your own box and your own limitations and maybe try something new, because I mean really, if you start out at 5 or 10 hours a week, I mean it's not that big of a deal, really. It's not like this big career. I mean, not to put it down, but I mean it's very good, but you know, it's not like this. You don't have everything riding on it, you know. It's not like some big ego thing. I mean, my goodness, I was a janitor. I'm still a janitor, but now I'm proud of it, you know.
And you're an art facilitator too.
Oh, and an arts facilitator too, yeah. But you know,
Mhm.
I wonder if anyone here has a story you'd like to share about yourself overcoming a fear around employment, or something maybe that has enlightened you about freedom to work, that maybe you're thinking this is this is a way for you to open another door.
I am, just, excuse me, just so you know, on the last page, I did put my email. I'm a little bit nervous about putting my email out there, but I will attempt to answer some limited questions. I would prefer an agency to kind of funnel it through one person rather than me answering the same question for multiple people in the same agency. But I do have my email there that I'm willing to help out with some questions here and there.
All right, thank you. Um, if there are any more questions or comments, now is the time. If not, that's fine. I see some applause coming up. All right. So again, on behalf of NAMI Yavapai, Arizona Peer and Family Coalition, Mental Health Monday is sponsored by AZ Complete Health. I want to thank the speakers and everyone who took time out of your day to attend. Appreciate you all being here.